When I start shooting, all y'all gonna clear out.
We have been complaining about the netcode and the connectivity on PSN and on Xbox Live for a very long time. When DR came out, DR was almost unplayable. If somebody was like on an opposite coast from you, say, East Coast to West Coast connections on there, were ass. I think you saw a true improvement in online Tekken playability when you had Tekken 7 on Steam. I played it on PSN and it was okay on PSN, but the Steam connection seemed to be a little bit better. But you still could not connect to someone too far out. You connect to somebody from the EU, you connect to European players, you're playing on a 3 bar with four delay frames and it would slow down. I mean, it was just garbage, really. But the thing that astonishes me is that when we play on Arcadesia, the members of Tekken Underground, when we fight each other, I'm fighting people from Australia with just a little bit of delay frame. There's no drop in frame rate at all. This connection is over 9,000 miles away from me. I have fought players from India, and I'm able to record it and stream it without a great compromise in quality in it. But we've got basically these guys who are doing this stuff for free because they're hobbyists, they're code nerds, and they're making a better netplay platform than a multi-million-dollar company. Like, what is going on?
I've been told that like my connection kind of sucks and like my frames is like all trash. So like maybe I'm just so used to playing with bad connection to where I don't even know what a good connection is. But like, do you think they're incapable or they don't want to?
I don't know really what's going on, but it would be nice to get some honesty out of, Harada and company and be like, hey, if you can't do this, at least explain why you can't, like don't just like gaslight us and tell us, oh, no, you just don't know what you're talking about, it's not possible. Or what's kind of funny is like I'll look at Reddit posts about it and people are saying, oh, well, it's physically impossible. Well, I mean, it's not physically impossible. We're doing it. And if anybody doesn't believe me, over at Tekken Underground on the YouTube channel, I got videos of it.
I get so frustrated that Tekken players say that about everything. You got to stop thinking everything is impossible. Think of it like this. Bandai Namco is one of the biggest companies in video games on the planet. If they can't do it, holy smokes, that means pretty much no one can do it. It's not impossible. This is Bandai Namco we're talking about.
It's nice to be able to, play online out of convenience, but one of the most rewarding things to me, like after I started up Tekken Underground, is seeing all these people from like all around the world just pour in to the server to come play. Some of these people don't even speak English, so we've had to communicate like through a translator to get them set up. And once they come online, they're pretty astonished that we can actually play a really advanced match. And it shows you too, like there is a high demand for retro Tekken in general. Because
Yeah.
I never thought that it was this big that I would find people just all around the world who are convening in this one spot to come and play. I think a lot of things have just been underestimated by the Tekken team and Tekken 8 players who are complaining about lag and like lack of reach. When they tell you that it's not possible, like no, it's definitely possible.
What do you feel is like the difference between playing Tekken 3 and Tekken 8? And I know that's kind of like a step away from netcode, but it's like, what do you think
Yeah,
is
sure.
is different?
What I would say the difference is in retro Tekken, specifically in from 3 to tag to DR, there's a lot more emphasis on movement. You can't get mid-screen frame trapped. And sidesteps actually work. Things don't just track 360 and pop you 24/7. Okay, a lot of the things that I see in Tekken 8, where we'll have somebody sidestep all the way around a string and the string will pop you, even though like it's on paper, like it's not supposed to do that. It seems like the newer the game gets, the more they punish defensive play. In Retro Tekken, you're only punished as much as you're greedy. So if you feel like you're walking into an option select, you can backdash, you can sidestep, you can reset and re-engage. You don't have to sit there and get frame trapped or sit there and dwell on a 50-50 multiple times. People can't just rush you down, and they can get poked out of most of their moves.
So you say retro Tekken. What is retro Tekken?
They're probably 1 through 5 DR. Some people would argue 6, but I think 6 is where we started to really see what we would call modern Tekken, or 6 would be the most similar to Tekken 8. Implemented dedicated crush system. The movement is toned down just a little bit. Rage comes into play. We're playing at a closer range now. And we're not really playing across the screen. Tighter walled stages and stuff like that. So we're really bringing the game down face to face, and and reducing the range that players often have to traverse, and changes the meta a lot.
You were talking about how like a lot of people want like retro Tekken, they want like the older Tekkens, and Harada, he basically said that older 3D games age worse than older 2D games. So that's one reason why he doesn't want to bring back like, you know, a Tekken collection. But then the other thing he said is that there's not really an appetite for it. It's interesting that Harada says these things, but then the players try very hard to bring older games back online, create servers for it, and then one of the number one requests is for it to be made available in Tekken 8.
We have a lot of Zoomers that are coming in to play the game, so they started on Tekken 7, Tekken 8. They come in there, they come into Tekken Underground. They're just addicted, you know,
They
to
want to see
playing
what
the
the hype
game.
is about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they get into it. So I'm actually in there coaching these kids, and they really, really love it. They're fascinated with the system. And I don't know what Harada is talking about. I guess in terms of graphics and photorealism, 3D games don't age well, but the artistry is starting to take on, you know, a preferable tone of its own with these games. So people don't play the games to get, you know, flashy particle effects and hyper realistic graphics. They're playing it because they want that, you know, kind of vintage feel. They like the soul that's oriented around the style of these games. So I think Harada's misunderstanding why anybody likes this. For Tekken 8, keeping people locked into the novelty of new Tekken, keep them spending on new characters and stages and outfits or whatever extra coin that you want to dump into it, which of course then they reward you later by not really upgrading features or, you know, giving you broken characters so that everybody can just buy it for the hype. I really think that they just have misunderstood this player base ever since Tag 2 came out. They just really don't get it.
There's a lot of other ideas that the players have thrown out and they implemented. Characters on the main menu, more character slots, even went back and redid some of Lily outfits because the Lily players requested it. And they did all of that stuff because they know it makes the players happy and it makes the players more attached to Tekken. So when it comes to older games, you should have that same mindset and want to like have that same approach of like, how can we do this in a way to where it doesn't fully take people away from Tekken 8, but it still gives people that taste. And also, Street Fighter does it. Street Fighter has that section in the back where you can go and play old games, not just Street Fighter, but old Capcom games. Bandai Namco, I'm pretty sure they have a long archive of random arcade games that people would love to just play for a day and back to Tekken 8 when the 24 hours is up.
We've all talked about this too over at Tekken Underground. Like, if there was actually an official release and official support for this, we would just kind of drop the emulation side of it because, you know, it's a little controversial, and just go ahead and play official. And I wanted to thank you too personally, because like all the support that I've received from obviously like some of your fans, and this has been like really rewarding for me. I'm really astonished by the amount of love that's still in the Tekken community. And you mentioned the aesthetic that these older games have too. Tekken's old art style and generally the arts in the 90s relied a lot more on subtlety, symbolism, that kind of dark element of the arts. You know, it wasn't so overt, in your face, zany, overcooked, you know, hyper real. No, it relied a lot on subconscious communication, on inference. And that's kind of what we're missing. And that's, in my opinion, what takes the passion away from these newer Tekken games, is that they're loud, they're in your face, you know, they're meant to be as ostentatious as possible. And it's like it takes away the subtle charm, you know, from the art. I wanted to respond to one of the members in the stream said, "Can you be sued for this, or is this a fair use thing?" Honestly, to give you a totally honest answer, really don't know. Emulating games has been very controversial. Technically, these companies could sue, you know, Tekken could sue, but at the same time, like, why would you want to? Tekken 3 has no sale value. It's all resale. Could they? Yeah, because it is their intellectual property, but will they? I don't really think so. Unless you just want to smack your fans in the face, go ahead and
They wouldn't sue you. They would just cease and desist. They would just like send you a letter in the mail or have a suit show up and knock on the door and say, hey, stop.
By the way, that match, I'm fighting somebody with a stable connection from the Philippines. Any of the choppiness you see is because of my video codec on OBS. The match was completely smooth for both of us and really intensely playable. It's crazy. You don't get that kind of connectivity on Steam Tekken connections at all. As a matter of fact, you probably wouldn't even be able to get the match to link up. The things that are being executed on the screen too, like the Yoshi's juggles are really tight, and I pull them off just fine with very little error. And this is also while I'm recording and streaming too, so there is a tax on my side of the connection.
This looks super smooth. Like it's smoother than Tekken 8, strangely. Why don't you think Tekken 8 can do this? Like why can't Tekken 8 achieve this?
From what I understand about rollback netcode, which anybody who's experienced in programming can totally correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm not a programmer, is that the game has to be like quasi-functional and rendered somehow as a process in the background. So you basically have these like two states of gameplay, which is you and the other player. And this third state is basically what's determined, by the script to be the set state of the gameplay. So both users are basically being adjusted to that third state. And maybe because of Tekken 8's makeup or graphical capability, that makes that a little bit difficult. So with a game as simple as Tekken 3, it might be easier to achieve that process.
My final question for you. So you say you don't like Tekken 8, but like season 2, that's what everyone's looking at. One, will you give the game a try again in season 2? And then two, like what do you expect out of season 2? What do you hope out of season 2?
Well, if I do give the game a try in season 2, I'll be an Ana main, like I have been since DR. For the newer games, I main Ana. For the older games, I play everybody, basically. The timer should not be running while I'm getting my ass whooped while someone's not pressing any buttons. I mean, to me, there are just some things here I just find so silly. Like why is that going on? The other thing I want to see is, fix the why is there no consistent like punishment? We should be past that point. I mean, we've had consistent punishers in Tekken 7 and Tekken 6. If something is a punisher on paper and it punishes this move because it's X frames, that's how it should always be. There should be no probability that you're going to be able to punish the move. If you input the move at the right time, it should be guaranteed. And reduce the tracking too on some aspects of the game. I mean, it just seems absurd to watch moves that shouldn't be tracking 360 track 360 with no homing trail, no nothing, and they just track all the way around. Like, tone that down a little bit. I wanted to thank you and everybody else from the bottom of my heart for, not only giving me the time of day to speak, but putting some attention on this project, because like I said, it's a labor of love and passion. It means a lot.
I'm just happy I could help. I'm just the Yoshi main scrub, and if I could help some people along the way, then I love that. So yeah.